Good turnaround Tuesday, everybody. How's everyone doing? Hi, Kevin. This surprised me. Gold back up against resistance. Silver stronger. Still could be a short. I'm going to just step aside un, until the Fed. I mean, I already did. Yesterday was a pretty good day in the S&Ps. We're still under the 2-week off number. To me, this looks like a failing rally we had yesterday in the S&Ps. And, if you want to be short now, you could risk this high. I'm going to wait for the Fed caught a lot of this range, and the S&Ps are doing that while Nasdaq, not new highs, but stronger on a relative strength basis. The dollar gave just a little hint that there are some people um, trying it down here. Okay, so yesterday we went to this level 90.40, rallied to 90.80. I'm still, we made new lows in the dollar yesterday. It still was a red candle. So I'm still going to wait for this blue speed line unless we start trading above 91.20. Looks like that would change the picture a little bit. See this 91.20 level right here? I wouldn't want to be short if we take that out. Hello, NG Arena. Okay. EG 9068. Still think that there was, well, I did, thought there was a chance that we were going to make a new high in euro, but it still keeps failing here. And unlike the dollar index that made a new low by about 4 points, the euro even yesterday could not get through new highs. Okay, so I still think there's a ton of buy stops above this level here at 121.76, and the high of the move on this platform was 21.77. So I mean, it's close enough for government work, but really haven't taken it out. Maybe we're just going to roll over from here. But I need something to happen besides that we're just moving sideways at recent highs. I'd like to see some type of spike. Maybe this will be a 1, this will be a 2, and we get a spike, but the market doesn't have to accommodate me. I'm going to wait for the Fed. My ideal scenario is that there's some more dollar weakness after the Fed, and still think there's a chance, except for this candle kind of changing it, that we could get back down towards this 90, 89, 90 level. We have an inside day, so that's going to be interesting if this range holds for the day. And then after the Fed, the dollar makes a new low and then takes out today's high. Yeah, I'm looking for something like that, some type of spike down, even take out the big round number of 90 by a little bit. And they'll have people talking 88, which I can't argue with, but some of the internals of the dollar are starting to strengthen, relative strength wise. So in fact, a new low on the daily, well, I don't think we'll take out this low. So that's a look there. The S&Ps again, I'm just going to wait. Maybe we'll also get a stimulus deal before Christmas and they could generate one more high, but I thought yesterday's action in the S&Ps was pretty negative, and it took out the off number by about 7 handles, 6 handles. It's underneath it, where the Nasdaq is above. It's 12,518 Friday off number. The Aussie, I believe, we have 2 drives here too. See here, 1, 2. We don't have to get 3. Blake was talking about, some of the momentum and divergences and fib levels were being attacked in the Aussie up in here. I'd like to see one more push up in the Aussie. I would try it up here. So maybe it's tomorrow after the Fed, after the presser, that I'll be looking to do something like that. VIX keeps trying to turn the corner. We'll see if it's able to. You know, I don't know why there isn't the possibility that once we get through 26, then we have 29. Maybe just a correction of this move in the VIX from over 40 to 20. 61.8 back would be about 32 up here. So that's a possibility that I'm seeing. So I'm just talking possibilities today. I'm going to wait till the Fed, and I'm not going to, screw up what I accomplished yesterday, getting in front of the Fed. And I don't like to trade or hold positions into the Fed. So for me to take positions here, I'm limiting myself as far as time is concerned for it to work, because I'd be getting flat before it. So may as well, be a spectator today instead of a speculator, and just have my plan ready to react to the Fed instead of trying to predict the Fed. Okay. So any questions before I turn it over to Blake? Any instrument you'd like me to look at just quickly before Blake comes in?
Yeah, Dale, give me about 1 minute, please.
Yeah, okay. So we have a little time. CAD yen, okay. I don't think I have it up here, so I'll put it up there for you. A buddy of mine made money in this last week. Let's see. Okay, now I see why it was long. I think it's got another high in it, if that helps you, DJ. Oh, NG, you see this? Okay, so maybe we have one more high. I can't fade it here. I don't understand your question. Amira. I could take a quick look at oil while Blake's getting ready. So Amira, you still think President Trump's going to win the second term here? Is that what you're saying? And how's that going to happen? He's just going to nullify the election? Is this your hope, or this is what you really believe? There's a difference, I will see in 6-1. What's that mean? Is that a date? Oh, January 6th you're talking. Okay, what happens on January 6th? They finalize the Electoral College in Congress. Hi, Sinatra. Okay, here's oil. So it could be a fade at new highs up here. But to me, the trend is still up. I'm not going to chase it. Let's see what it does against this high, if that helps you out. Okay. What else?
All right, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here. I
buddy.
can see you.
All right.
How you doing,
Huh?
Dale?
Pretty good, man.
So we saw the euro slip a little bit this morning, and there was some news from just a moment ago that Boris Johnson told his cabinet that they can expect a no deal Brexit. That's still their base case scenario, I think. And so the cable slipped a little bit off the highs. We are almost at 134. I had some long pound exposure, and I took it off at 81 when it was at 81, obviously, and then the euro slipped a little bit more than I thought it was going to, but the euro got hit pretty good, and we're seeing a little dollar recovery. It's kind of seeping in a little bit against some of these currencies. The commodity currencies have been kind of weak overnight as well too. You look at like the Aussie and the Kiwi, they just haven't performed very well, and that's probably more of a consolidation than anything. But I still think that the dollar is a sell on rally type of currency. That doesn't mean that it can't, you can't trade counter trend. But I do think that you have to be like more ready for a dollar sell off and looking for a dollar sell off than anything. And that's what I'm going to be looking for today. Seeing if we can get the dollar down to, or get the dollar. Let me put it this way: maybe get the euro down to some levels that look more attractive. That's what I'm hoping for. So, what do you make of these precious metals moves
I
there,
was
Coach?
surprised by the strength. I had no position. That low yesterday, I think that highs and lows that were made yesterday may hold for a little while. So, I think the high in the S&Ps may hold, and gold actually, tried to take out resistance. Maybe it ran some stops there, Blake, in the gold, and turned yesterday because it went right. See that little wick down there? Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, people were probably thinking it was going to break down. I thought it would, but it recovered all day long with the S&P selling off. So I
Well,
don't know
yeah,
what to
because
do with it. Maybe we have another
the
new
shorts
high
are wrong,
coming.
right?
Yeah. And silver's even stronger today.
It is. Matter of fact, if it gets above this trend
Yeah.
line here at 2450,
Yeah.
Oops,
Right.
we're
Maybe
squeezing.
people are nervous as we, things continue to devolve. There is some violence starting to occur on the streets, and I don't think people are just going to go home. Half the country is angry.
I was reading this article yesterday regarding New York, and I found it very fascinating for those of you that are, are sensitive at all to what's happening in New York and the city. And it was a
Oh, people leaving it in droves.
yeah, but the what was the old Kurt Russell movie?
Escape from New York.
Escape from New York. It was kind of and I forget who wrote the article. I'd have to go back
Charlie
and
Gasparino.
no,
No?
no, but
All right.
it was an article basically. It says New York bounced back much better than expected after September 11th.
Yeah.
Because New York people didn't have the means to leave. Technology wasn't where it's at today, but now because of COVID, basically, long story short is people have found that you don't really need a city center to be productive, and you can
Yeah.
be productive online and work away from the computers or away from you can work in away from the office and technology because of that. A lot of companies are going to be moving out of New York, and it's, I guess it was kind of a scary article when you think about like the infrastructure of some of these big cities, whether it's New York or Chicago or whatever. And I found that very fascinating. That because look, if you work from home and it's feasible for you to work from home, unless you just love the city, why are you going to pay the money to live in the city?
How about companies eliminating major overhead by not having rent,
Yeah,
office
I mean
space? Yeah.
the rents are so expensive, commercial rents there. It's like, so yeah, they're going to allow people to work from home. Anyway, I found it a really fascinating article yesterday, and if you guys, let me see if I can find it really fast. Uh, it
Snake
is.
Plissken. Do you remember the name from the guy in the movie? Snake
I
Oh,
don't.
yeah. That's right.
Plissken. I still remember it.
The no, you know what? It was an excerpt from an article that was sent around our office, but it was really interesting. I think it was a fund manager put it together. But anyway, I found it extremely interesting for today's day and what's happening. Anyway, that has nothing to do with currencies right now, and I don't know how we got into this conversation, but somehow it happened. But I think what we should do is we should talk about what's happening in currencies.
New York, New York.
Right. So the euro was building this wedge, and what we've noticed is it broke lower through this hourly wedge. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to sell off aggressively. I thought we'd come down to this trend line. If here, let me go ahead and fix all this. This uptrend line comes in, around 121. I think that we could see 121, 120.80 again, and then quite possibly 120.50. And frankly, I've got orders down there. So I've got orders to buy the euro down at these levels. Then they've been down there for days. So I'm kind of hoping that we see something like that. But if you look at, a lot of these currencies, it looks like the dollar could bounce. The cable slipping a little bit from that. Looks like we're pushing right back up again. I don't know why. There's headlines all over the place. It's moving the cable, obviously, but the pound, as we're still trading within this 132.50 to 135 range. I mean, do you really want to be too committed here without having any concrete Brexit news? Like for me, I want to be long the pound. I do. I think they're going to get a deal done. I do. I'm pretty convinced that they're going to. That doesn't mean that they're going to. It's just in my mind, I am. So, but I don't want to own it here. I owned a little overnight. I sold it right here in the 80s, and I'm fine with it. I made a little bit of money. It wasn't a huge position. It's fine. I actually really would rather own it down here at 131 or 130. If you watch the week ahead video that I put together for you guys over the weekend, you guys know my ideas and what my thoughts are. I don't mind having a little exposure up here. I'd rather be long, lower. And so let's hope we get down there. I think it's going to be a deal in the 11th hour, and and it's probably going to be when the market's extremely illiquid, and it probably will be, sometime after the Christmas holiday before New Year's, and we're probably going to get some sort of deal. And when the market is least, there's just going to be no liquidity. Everybody's going to be out. So, but the question is, do you buy the cable here? And since we're on the chart, and I'm going to say probably not, especially with Johnson, signaling that hey, we need to wait for or we're probably not going to have a deal. Again, this is posturing in my opinion, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to weigh on the market. You get people like myself is like, well, we're not going to get the deal right now, so let me go ahead and sell, my cable longs currently, because I just don't want to be long because of, some of these comments. Oh, hold on really fast. 1 second, guys. Sorry. I just need to make an adjustment here. Okay. So, anyway, some thoughts. So I think resistance is going to come in about 134.25. You can see this little trend line here. This might have been just an overshoot. And maybe this is the highs, 134. It kind of looks like this, which is entirely possible. I'm going to go ahead and write 134.25 as resistance in the cable. Okay. Support. I mean, we've been as low as 132.80. To fill the gap, we'd have to come all the way down to 132.30, which, why can't we see it? Right? Why can't we fill that gap? I think it's entirely possible that we do. All right. Let's talk about the euro dollar. So the euro, like I said, we were building this nice little hourly wedge. You can see it right here. We broke that wedge. So, you know, it should open the door for 121. 121 will be support. And just so you know, below that, hold on, let's just double check some things before we get too crazy here. You got 121, and below that we have 120.60 and 120.50. I think is going to be more important. Okay, that if we can even get down there, but it's possible. It's possible. Gosh, this cable is it? Why is it up again? Hold on, really quick. Oh, here we go. Irish Foreign Minister Coveney on Brexit. Always optimistic on Brexit deal. Motivation is to get a deal done. There's progress in talks, but it is slow. All right, so there you go. That's why the cable's up right now or bouncing. Doesn't mean anything. We're all optimistic, right? We're all optimistic. So euro resistance 131.70. Hold on really fast, guys. I am going to shoot. Okay. I had a small euro short at 121.37. Just I scalped it. It was down at 30, and so I just took 7 pips off. Nothing to write home about. It was just something I wanted to make sure I got that off, because when you break this trend line, I shorted it as we were starting the webinar. It was up here and retesting the trend line. I just shorted it and then wrote it back down. That's it. Nothing big. Nothing. It's going to make me $1 gazillion overnight. But it was just pulling 7 pips out of the market. All right, so 121 is going to be support. Below that, we're going to have 120.50. Just in case we get down there, I would be very happy if we got down there today, but I don't think that's really going to happen. 121.70 is the resistance, and I'm going to put an asterisk here because I do think it's important resistance, because it was wedge resistance and it's still bullish. Aussie. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the Aussie's been trading a little heavy. We might get a throw over here, but ultimately what I'm hoping for, guys, is I'm hoping for a move back to 74.50. Now let's stop here for a minute. Let me pull up a weekly chart. Okay. This is, and if you follow me via Twitter, you probably saw that this is a 38% retracement right here, long term. Like, I'm very optimistic that this is a V-shaped recovery. What's that, Dale?
Yeah, an important low.
Yeah, it might be actually even generational. I mean, when I say that's probably, we might not even see that over the next 10 or 20 years again.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer. So I think that the Aussie dollar is the bottom's in.
It won't matter much to me 30 years from now.
What's that?
It won't matter much to me 30 years from now.
Yeah, it may not matter much to me 30 years from now either, but I'm just saying that
I know.
This false breakdown here, it's led to a reversal, and we're probably never going to see that again. There's a chance we could dip back into the mid 60s, especially if we have some severe risk off,
Would love that.
But I think for now, the way I see it is that we're at the 38% retracement. The 76.30 level is going to offer major resistance moving forward, or I would say for the next week or two. But what am looking for is that maybe we come back down and retest 74 cents, maybe 74.50, and then bounce. So today, support will be at 74.90, which is this high right here. 74.50, 74.90. This is bullish. And resistance is, 75.75, basically. And I don't think we're going to get above that today, but if we did, then you'd have to look for 75 or 76.30 or whatever the 38% retracement is. Sorry, guys, didn't mean to yawn on you. It is 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning here. I've been up since 4 is what I meant to say. Here's a Kiwi. So Kiwi, very similar to the Aussie. I'm hoping that we get a dip back to 70 cents. That would be a 38% retracement of this move here. So 38% retracement comes in at 70 cents. That would be wonderful if we got down there. Will we get down there? Probably not. I think we might be lucky if we get down to like 70.50, but you know, who knows? Resistance is 71.20. It's bullish. Okay. Hold on 1 second, guys. Drinking some coffee. Dollar Canadian moving our way down. So the dollar Canadian's trading a little heavy today. But remember, we're at the big 161% extension. I took my long off yesterday. I was long dollar Canadian, and I took it off yesterday when we were in the 50s or 60s, just because the dollar looked pretty weak yesterday. Now we've recovered, or the dollar sold off again. But what we're finding here is the dollar Canadian is struggling on, this previous support. It's acting as current resistance. So that means that, we have to get above 128 in order for the dollar Canadian to, kind of some of this downside pressure to take off. But 127 is support. Okay. And the reason why 127 is support is because it's that spike low here. But remember, we are around this big 161% extension. It's big. Okay. Dollar Mexican peso. I took this one. I was long dollar Mex for the last couple of days. I took it off yesterday at 2014, when we spiked up here yesterday, 2014 or 2015. This 2020 level is providing resistance. Uh-oh. Silver is ripping, guys. In case you didn't see. Silver is going. I think Dale just stepped away from his computer, so watch silver. It's going to squeeze. If you guys use Forex Analytics, hold on really quick. Use Forex Analytics. You got this update. Let's go to the live stream here. XAG right here. So that was an hour ago. Silver could negate the head and shoulder setup, especially if we break the downtrend line at 24.47 level. Bears, be cautious. You guys already knew that was in the works an hour ago, and you can see just over the last hour, we've just ripped higher. So now we're really going to threaten, the bears here, especially if we break above 24.50, 24.60, this thing's going to start to scream. So if you're bearish, just be careful, because I think a lot of people were leaning on the silver market and gold market yesterday, as Dale pointed out earlier, especially with that spike low below gold. Oh, speaking of which, since we are looking at silver, let's just flip up gold really quick. So gold resistance right now. Yeah, I mean, we break above 2880 and, or 1880, sorry. It's going to be good resistance. And then support was 1820. Okay. And we are in a range currently. All right. So back to what were we talking about? Dollar Mexican peso. So going back to the dollar Mexican peso. Hey, Dale, just by the way, silver is trying to make a move. I see you that you're back. So just letting you know.
Okay.
So going back to the peso, I still think we're going to be pretty well supported on dips to 20. Resistance will be at this 618 retracement. It comes in at 2032, basically.
Very nice call from last week.
Thanks. Yeah, I got out of my you missed this, but I got out of the dollar mex yesterday on this spike up right here. When we started moving higher,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, I got out like around the 2015 level, just because the dollar looked pretty bullish against a lot of currencies. So I did, I didn't, or it's pretty bearish, excuse me, against a lot of
Yeah.
currencies. So I just, figure it's better to be safe than sorry. But for a counter trend trade, and I still think this, just so you guys know. I mean, if you stick a gun to my head and you say, "Hey, you got to buy dollars here," I'm probably, dollar Mexican peso is the best choice, than the dollar Canadian. Because they're
Yeah.
holding up well. They have been. So
Did it start? Did that spike happen when the S&P started coming off yesterday afternoon?
no, it was right at the open. I think it was right at the North American Open, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
started to spike up, and for me, I was just like, yeah, let's just take it off here,
Right.
type of thing. So
Bank it.
yeah, just bank it. Exactly. All right, back to here's the dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss in a little descending channel here, still bearish. 88.50 seems to be decent support right now. 89. What is this high right here? See these hourly highs through here?
Yeah.
89.15. Okay. So 88.50, 89.15, obviously. Oops. And 15. Then 89.90 is key resistance, if you don't recall, and this is bearish. Okay. US dollar, Norwegian krona, nothing's changed here at all. Just remember, double top extension completion is going to be right here at 863. We're still, any move to 890 or to 895, 896 really should be sold. So I'm going to write down 861 or 863, excuse me. It's bearish, as you guys know. Dollar yen. Did you guys catch this yesterday with the dollar yen? The dollar yen actually spiked below the support, right below that 103.65, probably cleaned out some stops,
Yep.
right? And then spiked right back up. This is a gnarly currency. And I know I've explained this to you guys a lot over the course of the last couple of weeks. I have no idea how to trade the dollar yen. And because of that, I leave it alone. But you can see how important this, 103.65 support was. And I'm going to write down, today I have to write down 103.50 because, that's where we traveled yesterday. But 104.75 is resistance, and you guys can have a lot of fun trading that because I'm leaving it alone. Dollar index. So here's the dollar index consolidating near recent lows. Support, we'll write down 90.42. Resistance, 91.20.
Yeah.
Bearish. Oops. Just so you guys know, as far as the dollar index goes, these targets are still very valid. This, you can see this 161% extension right here. Okay. That support is at basically 90. We should test it. It may not be today, and it may not be, right now. It may be one
Maybe
of
after
these.
the Fed.
Yeah, it could be after the Fed, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. It's going into Wednesday. That could be it. But just realize that the dollar index is still bearish. All right, let's
A lot of trading ranges right here now, Blake. Some
there are
rectangles,
but they're ranges, but they're ranges at
important
as the
levels.
dollar is broken down. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
it's not like, oh, we got these big wide ranges. No, it's ranges in a very bearish trend for the dollar right now.
Yeah.
So that means you get any spike higher the next day or two, you sell into strength.
Right.
That's why I'm going to try to buy the euro on a dip below 121. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. S&P, last but not least. So we've been in this like ascending wedge for what seems like forever, because we first thought it was a pennant, and now it's just an ascending wedge, and it's holding gains. So, and the bottom line is, while we're above 3,600, no reason to be bearish. We can get to 3,600, but today support is going to be at 3,630. That's actually 3,632, and resistance is at 3,711. And then remember, let me go over to this daily chart really quick. So there's the high in the S&P. Here's the post-COVID low, right? The S&P 127% extension of that move comes in at 37 and change. So we're not far away from there. We just aren't. So resistance at 37, I guess right now it's at 37.10 roughly. What did we write down yesterday? $37.15. Okay, so all right.
Where's our photographer?
Bias chart's done. So that's it.
I got
Stelios, is he here?
I got it.
You got it. You got it.
Using a Polaroid camera. Here?
Of course. Only the cutting edge technology.
Remember those?
Yeah.
Polaroid? Well, I actually bought one. I bought one. They had a resurgence a few years ago. I say a few years ago. It was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I bought one because we'd have them at, we'd have like every once in a while we'd have like a house party, and I'd leave a couple Polaroids laying around and people would snap pictures, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Until I had to scan them and then email them over to people afterwards. But anyway, Stelios, how's it going?
I'm very good. All good. No complaints. It stopped raining here, so that's good. But
so,
yeah,
the euro is, kind of floundering around a little bit. The cable was down on some comments and then just screamed back higher. So what do you think here?
Well, we had the Irish, what was it? One of the Irish ministers who said that we're not confident, but we're hopeful. And he also said something interesting. He said that, when you hear very little, they've gone quiet, he said. The negotiating teams have gone quiet. That tells me that they're close to something. And that kind of makes sense. But then, you remember that we've had 6 months or 6 years of this. And then you just say, screw it. They can say whatever they want. I have the same opinion still. I think there's going to be something agreed. If there wasn't any chance, they would have given up by now. I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. But I don't know. It's a complicated situation. Apparently, fishing is very important to both sides, and I don't know. Do you know? Does anybody know?
The euro just screamed back up again. I mean, look at this thing. It was just trading in the 30s, and then boom, we're back up again. So
yeah,
it's a little volatile here.
It wants those stops, Blake.
What's that?
Euro wants the stops over the high of the move.
It maybe, I'm really hoping that we get a dip down to 121 so I could buy some. That's all
You
I
will.
hope for.
After that.
I just don't know if it's going to happen here. So
yeah.
The euro is holding up pretty well. I mean, we have to all recognize the fact that the euro is holding up very well in this environment, and that's it, right? So is Steve here today?
Nope.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Good. How have you been, mate?
He said no,
Hi.
he's not here.
I actually went to bed early, and my body's so screwed up. It's like I went to bed early thinking I was so tired last night that I got up early, which I didn't want to do, but it happened anyway. So it's no fun.
What do you mean you got up early? You get up early every single
I
day.
know. I got up even earlier than normal, which is not even fun. But yeah, I was thinking maybe I could sleep in, but to my alarm, it didn't happen. Anyway, the market's kind of quiet here. Stelios gave us a little bit of overview about Brexit. I have to agree that I think it's gone quiet. I think that's a good thing. I'm a little irritated that I got out after the Boris Johnson comments were reiterated, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's not easy to hold positions in something that is, currently totally dependent on a political negotiation outcome. So,
Right.
Don't blame yourself. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
very binary thing, and, it could easily have gone the other way, meaning like, you held your position, somebody said something and you would be like, oh my God, why the hell did I keep these positions knowing that, there was binary risk, blah, blah, blah. You know how
Right.
it is. We always blame ourselves if we're not in the move.
True.
And I blame you, Steve, always.
We'll see what happens.
course.
I'm just hoping that the ruble and the euro might drift a little lower. We might see a little dollar strength between the net for the next couple of days, and allow us some decent entries on short dollar trades. So, guys, I'm going to pass it over to you. But before I do this, let me say a couple of things. First of all, if you notice, there are 0 patterns in play. Don't expect that to really change a whole lot as we go into the holiday season over the next couple of days. There might be some setups, but it might be kind of quiet. I mean, it's the holidays. Let's all keep that in mind. But like I mentioned yesterday, today is the best, or right now is the best time to try out Forex Analytics. It's only $1. The reason why is you want to come in, hang out in our chat rooms, because you can with the premium version. While you're trying it out. By the way, to get to the chat room, this is our chat room, just so you guys know. And you guys are on Jumbotron, so I'll let you guys say hello here in a second. When you're logged in, there's this right here where it says your name. Right next to that says go to chat room. This is the chat room, and I'm just going to show you how active it is. There's Andre posting some stuff. There's Simon. Hey, Simon. This is
What happens?
Well, good morning, everyone. Okay, that was it. 4:57. That was less than 2 hours ago. This is everything that's happened since then.
A lot of collaboration.
A lot of chatting, a lot of charts, a lot of, So yeah,
Community.
if you think that Forex Analytics is just, the platform and an app and all that technical analysis, coming to your phones or whatever, it's not. It's the chat room is also where it's at. And so, this is the perfect time to try it out, because when the new year hits and we have a significant discount, which we only do a couple of times a year, you can say, oh, I already tried it out. I'm going to take advantage of the discount. So try it out. All right. I'm going to pass it over. And by the way, support our webinar sponsor, Pepperstone Securities. Go to where it says Forex sponsored. If you want to try to get Forex Analytics for a few months for free, click here where it says open account. You have to use this link. Pepperstone is one of the biggest FX brokers in the world. So if you're outside of the US and Canada, check them out. All right, guys, it's all yours now.
Thank you,
Good
Blake.
luck today, Blake.
Thanks,
See you.
guys.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Blake. Bye-bye, mate.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we
Bye.
had the usual installment of the Brexit sitcom
Drama,
or
yeah.
drama, or however you want to call it.
How do you spell sitcom?
SIT.
SHI.
Yeah. We had some data today, probably worth mentioning. UK average earnings index. This is something that the MPC look at, and they compare it to inflation, and it shows, what kind of a gap there is between earnings growth and inflation. Well, the gap is very good, very healthy now. 2.7% year on year earnings, and inflation is what, 0.5% or whatever they want to tell us it is. So that was good, and unemployment also ticked down. So overall, some decent numbers from the UK. We had some Canadian numbers, housing better than expected. Nothing major otherwise. It's been pretty quiet. The main mover has been the pound in effects, but also metals. And metals seem to be trying to make a run for it. And people who have been listening to us, they know that I think we're all pretty much very bullish metals in the medium term, but we may have some disagreement on what's going to happen in the short term. I think we are due for a dollar bounce at some point, maybe with the new year. Probably not until the end of this month. It's going to die down probably and just grind the same way. But I personally think we're going to have a little bounce in the dollar, and I think we're going to see better buying levels for the metals. But still, metals are doing well. There you go. They're approaching. Silver is approaching the top end of this channel, descending channel, and looking pretty strong at the moment. What do you think, Steve?
I think that the chances are more than decent that we have seen the low. As I said, it's not a slam dunk situation, but we're getting close to the level that I'm going to feel very, very comfortable about that prediction. Now, having to do with the possibility of a dollar rebound depends on what kind of a dollar rebound it is, because it's not unlikely to see at the same time dollar strengthening and metals holding up quite nicely. It's not going to be the first time we've seen this happen.
Of course.
Now, of course, if we have some, strong sell-off, albeit I believe it's going to be a short-term one. We know that, there is a Pavlovian response from market participants to, sell precious metals at the very beginning of that. Now, personally, I think that there is a very good chance that that type of response is also going to weaken over time, because, once you see that metals are strong, and, I think there's a broad realization that the path of least resistance is higher for metals among people that know what they're doing, what we call the smart money. And once the market just starts treating, pullbacks in metals as buying opportunities, there's a good chance that this is going to be less and less, obvious. So, I don't want to trade the metals based on, the assumption that at some point we're going to see a market sell-off and hence some type of a dollar rebound. Yes, at some point it's going to happen, but I think that the metals in any case are very strong, and, we're getting very close to a big
Breakouts.
bullish breakout, mostly in silver, because gold has, somewhat more to travel before we can produce something like that. Speaking of the metals, those that are listened frequently to our webinars.
Sorry to interrupt. I think the big number that's important for silver is 26.5. That's my level. If it goes above there and closes like weekly on there, above there, I'm going to chase it. But until then, I'm not doing anything.
Speaking about the metals, when Blake was talking, I just didn't want to interrupt him. It reminds me of what we've been saying for a long time, and I've repeated this multiple times on the webinar. Head and shoulders formations, developing head and shoulders formations, I think have dug a lot of graves in the trading community. And that was another example of that. A lot of people were looking at, here's a 4-hour chart of silver, and here's a 4-hour chart of gold. So they were looking at this, and they were thinking like, oh yeah, this is a great head and shoulders formation developing here. And something, I'm not going to wait for it to break through the neckline. Right. I'm going to front run this to have a better entry. So I'm going to short it here, right?
Yeah, I
And
used to
then
do
they,
that.
yeah, and then they realized that no, this is actually most likely this is a triangle. So I've talked about in the past multiple times that developing head and shoulders formation can easily be consolidation formations like a triangle, and that is why I think that you should be very, very careful when you're trying to front run possible head and shoulders formations, because you should always keep in mind that a very, very possible outcome is that this is not a head and shoulders formation you're looking at, but a developing triangle, a running triangle that's going to break in the direction of the previous move. And as it seems here with gold and silver, that's what we've had. So I think there is a lot of people that were trading this short term and are now holding the bag. Go ahead, Steny.
Their right shoulder is dislocated now.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
I wasn't gonna add anything more. I think you covered it pretty well on that. Yeah, that's it. I don't see anything else of majority of or something major to say. So we can go and have a look at a few charts maybe.
The cable Stelio, I'm monitoring this formation for this pullback. We're retesting this channel. So admittedly, A, it never broke down from this ascending channel. B, the pullback so far has been a perfect, like ABC type of a pullback. So that's quite an interesting juncture. And, is there a chance that we've actually now seen the pullback and we're about to get another move higher? That's going to be quite interesting. I think it's decision time soon enough, at least on a technical perspective. I mean, I can't know, and I think nobody can know when they're going to decide whatever they're going to decide among them, having to do with the negotiation teams. But from a technical perspective, this is an interesting resistance. So, you like it to the downside, you can short it here, but, we cleanly break through this. I think we should be looking for an extension higher. And, equivalently, although it's not as easy to predict what's happening here from a technical perspective, here's the euro pound. We saw that spike higher. We've seen a reversal lower. Could that have been some type of a high? It's still very, very early. I mean, I'm a lot less convinced about the euro pound here, to be honest. But I'm monitoring what's happening here. I don't want to have a position, to be honest. Not ahead of this event risk.
Yeah, it's too much event risk, and I think I want to trade the pound a little bit, but I'm going to be doing it in much smaller size than usual, and I'm very careful. Just like Friday, when I shorted the euro sterling at 92, I had to take profits before the day was over, because I didn't want to carry weekend risk. It took 50 pips, and then we opened on Monday another 60 lower. But what can you do?
Yeah, but irrespective of that, that was the right decision. Making the right decision doesn't mean that you get vindicated every time. It means that you made the right decision, meaning that out of 10 times, it's going to work 6 times in your favor. That's the only thing we can control in trading, nothing else. That
very true.
Making wise decisions based on experience and common sense, and the only other thing we can control is the risk reward, nothing else.
That's very true.
Anything else we have to talk about, Stelio? I mean, anything we expect, anything that has happened overnight that we haven't mentioned yet?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, cool. So let's jump on the charts. Dale, do we have an interview today?
We do. Do you know he's here? Do you know George Casarios?
I don't. He is Greek, but I don't know him.
It sounds like a Greek name. That's what I want to say. Yes.
That's why.
Or maybe Cypriot.
I know you don't know every Greek
I think it's
person
Cypriot, actually.
in the forex.
Might be Cypriot. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
True.
George, are you Greek or Cypriot? I know you're in the house. All right. Anyway, yes, we have a guest, and there's still time, bro.
Okay, nice. So
another Gregorius said he is Greek. Oh, there you are. I
No,
can't
we
hear
can't
you.
hear you. You're muted. You're not promoted yet, George. You
Yeah.
can type in for the time being. We're going to promote you when it's time for the interview. Okay, so dollar. I'm going to start from there and go through some instruments fast because we don't have a lot of time. So the DXY, did it break down yesterday? No, it didn't. Does that mean that it's reversing higher? You know my opinion about that. Yeah. I mean, you can gamble on it if you want. Personally, I find no reason in trying to fade this trend. At some point, there's going to be a rebound. I see no indication of that happening yet. When I do, trust me, I'm not going to hide it from you. I'm going to straightforward tell you that, there is, it looks like we might be beginning some type of a counter trend move, but I
What's
don't
your
see that
take
happening.
on? Yeah, what's your take on the failing rally that we had in S&P yesterday, Steve? Is that building evidence? Is it mounting for a correction if we don't take out yesterday's high in S&P?
Listen, you can have two interpretations here in the S&P, and here's the S&P on the 4-hour chart, right? Interpretation number one, this is some type of an ascending wedge.
Okay.
Why I'm not so fond of that interpretation? Because I don't like the inclination of that ascending wedge. It's not steep enough for me to have a high. Listen, ascending and descending wedges are very high probability scenario technical formations. When and if they have a rather steep angle, right? Because then you know they're terminal formations.
Mhm.
But the angle of this wedge, without negating the possibility of that being a wedge, but the angle is anything but steep, meaning that there is absolutely no evidence that this is a terminal formation and not just a very bullish consolidation as the one we saw recently in the Kiwi, which broke to the upside. So having said that, within
Yeah, it
this,
corrected while if you
Yeah.
go back to, what is that? The 15th, the 9th, that high there. And so it's corrected with an upward bias, which
Mhm.
is probably, you're right, a sign of strength. Correction going up.
Yeah.
Good point. So
um,
I guess I'll pull in my bear claws after yesterday and see if we could get 37.40. That's your
yeah.
1.414.
So within that context,
Yeah.
just
yeah.
look at this recent pullback, which channels perfectly, right?
Yeah.
So do I want to be short as long as, this is the situation and we've broken down through no significant technical level while we haven't produced a lower low on more or less any time frame? Guess what the answer is? No, I don't, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying that this can't prove to be an ascending wedge. I'm saying that the evidence still is very weak, and being what it is, do I want to fade a strong trend? No, I don't.
Okay.
Um,
You don't have to.
exactly. I don't have to, and I won't.
I'm not going to put a gun to your head, like Blake always says.
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate that.
Well, what are friends for?
You know something?
Not sticking each other up.
You know something? Coincidentally or not, likely not, do you see a resemblance
Yeah,
with this?
completely identical.
Yes. Here is crude oil on the 4-hour chart. And guess what?
Yeah.
In the short term, this is a very identical type of technical formation, right? Ascending wedge, question
Good
mark.
eye.
Perhaps. But the inclination, the angle still tells me that I don't want to fade this because there is a good chance that it can break to the upside
Yeah.
and spike higher. Especially, guess what? Santa Claus week is coming. We know that performance usually is good then. The usual window dressing and very low liquidity. Do you really want to be fading trends under current conditions that I just described? I don't. Okay.
All right,
And
I'll wait.
as we
I'll
were
wait till
as we
New
were
Year's.
as we were saying before with Stelios, will I change my mind if we sell off in a few days from now? No, I'm not going to change my mind because what I'm currently saying is not that, we cannot sell off. I'm saying that the smart decision here is not to bet on the fact that we're going to sell off. So they're two separate things, right?
Right.
So crude
Okay.
oil testing resistance, as you see, confluence of resistance is actually here because it's also the 161.8% extension of this pullback that we had within this blue channel, and obviously this triangles, let's call it a wedge in this case, wedges trend line resistance. But as I said, we might as well break to the upside. Somebody else was asking about natural gas, and I'm going to reiterate what I said yesterday, which is that we're still trading within this descending channel. As with everything that has intrinsic value, I would only be putting my money on the fact that natural gas is eventually going to be worth more. So I'm viewing this channel as corrective for the time being. So a break above the channel trend line resistance is going to be a bullish breakout, which I'm going to believe. I mean, I'm going to assume that it's probably a legitimate breakout. That's what I mean by saying I'm going to believe it. Now, gold and silver, we already visited both on the daily and the weekly charts. For our friend that's asking about platinum, here is platinum. For the time being, what I see here is some type of a consolidation. We might need to do this one more little move lower before higher, but eventually I do think that platinum is headed higher as gold and silver. It even has a good chance that it's going to overperform because it was underperforming for a long period of time. So I do think that it might have come the time for platinum to shine again and overperform. Palladium still consolidating in, a symmetrical triangle. Makes sense. We've had a massive multi-year move higher. It might need more time to actually, work off the overbought conditions before we can move higher. Perhaps it ran too fast, but even the fact that it's not really selling off is long-term a bullish indication, if you're asking me.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, let's get George on.
Okay, time's up then, I understand.
Yeah,
okay.
Time's up. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay,
George.
let's first find out where George is from.
All right, stick around.
He
Hi,
wrote,
George.
I think he's Greek.
Okay.
George, I'm asking you to unmute. How are you?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, George. Welcome to
Loud
FaZe.
and clear.
Okay, great.
Kalispera.
Kalispera. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Well, do you live in Greece?
No, right now I'm in Cyprus.
Okay.
In Limassol, Cyprus, but I am from Athens. Yeah, I'm Greek.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, I
even-
want to introduce you to a couple of the partners.
Yeah, I saw the names. Yeah, I recognize the names.
You know them?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I
Okay.
don't think
Okay.
so.
All right.
Personally.
All right, George.
So
Um,
I'm working out of Limassol here, but originally from Greece. But I grew up in New York, so I'm a sort of a Frankenstein, you could say, a little bit of everywhere.
Okay, well, that's a perfect combination for being a trader. Right? A little bit being a scary monster. So, welcome to our community, George. Have you used Zoom before where you could share your screen?
Thank you for the invitation.
It's a green box.
Okay, if I want to share the screen, okay. I don't know if I'm sorry. I don't think I have anything to share, so I'm sort of unprepared.
Why are you here?
I don't know. You guys invited me.
Okay. All right.
I'm not exactly sure, what I'm, I thought.
Okay, well, why don't you tell, I'll share my screen. Okay, so George, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got into the business?
I've been in this business ever since I was, I don't know, small, I guess, 25 years old. And more or less, I've more or less been an investor / trader all my life, and right now I'm managing money for a firm in Cyprus, and that's about it. Which is what I always wanted to do.
Okay, I'm sure there was a learning curve in your journey. Any important influences or books or mentors that you had before you got to the point B of managing other people's money?
Yeah, I think there are tons of influences along the way. I can't really remember something specific, to be honest, because there's just too many to mention. But I think, every day we learn something, and I think every so often we're influenced by something, even though we can't really remember it. It sticks to the back of our head, you could say. But it has definitely been a learning curve, sure. And it's always a learning curve because you're always learning something every day because the market changes. So everything changes over time. So
What's your fund doing in currencies right now, George? What's your take? Is the dollar coming close to where we could have some type of reflex counter trend rally with the work that you do?
Yeah, we're not really traders like you guys do. When we incorporate an FX strategy in our portfolios, we take a look at the bigger picture, let's say. So, I have been extremely bullish
All
on.
right. Well, tell us something. Tell us what your big picture look is.
Okay, the big picture is continued dollar weakness for the foreseeable future for quite a while. I mean,
Okay.
the euro could easily go to 130 or even 140 with the euro dollar.
Okay.
I'm not saying it will or at any time soon, but it could easily go to 140, and it wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised, over the longer term.
So is your theme and narrative and positioning into things with, like my partner says, Steve, things with intrinsic value? Are you a commodity bull along with being a dollar bear? They usually go hand in hand.
Yeah, I don't really bother with commodities. It's not my cup of tea. If I do, it will be with mining stocks, for example, once in a while.
Okay.
But as far as commodities, sure, it's only natural if the dollar goes up, they will be repriced in dollars. So maybe you won't really make money in euros, but yeah, if you're in the dollar world, it will, you will see an appreciation. Sure, that has always happened, and I'm guessing it's
Yeah.
going to happen again. So
Okay.
I wouldn't
So
say
you're mainly in European stocks? Are you trading individual issues? You think Europe's going to outperform
yeah,
the US? Go ahead.
we're stock pickers, so I don't invest in asset classes. We invest in individual names. So we're mostly invested in the US. We do have, of course, European exposure, 20 to 30%, but for the most part, we are invested in the US for the most part.
Okay. Were you invested during the COVID crash?
Oh yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I was in.
Okay. So you're always in. Do you guys have any kind of bull bear type of position where your long portfolios raise cash because you smell something
have been
coming?
extremely liquid. We were liquid going into the crisis, and we've stayed liquid actually all through the crisis. When I say liquid, I'm saying over 30 to 40% at least being in cash. So yeah, we were, and we still are. And my benchmark for that is when I see the VIX below 20. So unless the VIX goes below 20, hopefully it's 18 and stays there for, I don't know, 2 weeks or something like that, I don't foresee increasing positioning by a lot. So we're going to stay pretty liquid until we see the VIX going down.
What's pretty liquid? 20% cash?
No, 30, 40.
Okay.
It's pretty liquid.
Okay. All right. So 20 is kind of like your line. That's an interesting concept. So what kind of opportunities are you looking for with the liquidity that you have? Should there be a correction? Do you like cannabis stocks? Do you like energy? Technology?
Definitely not cannabis. They're just too much of a bubble. They're not investable in my world.
Okay.
Technology, most technology is also not investable. It's just too much of a bubble. It's just not investable. I mean, okay.
So you're a value guy?
I wouldn't say a value guy. I would say somebody who, tries not to pay 20 to 30 times sales for any stock, which in my experience is a losing proposition.
Okay, so without giving us individual names, you're probably reticent to do that. Can you give us an idea of sectors that you like?
No, I could give you names. I could give, for example, you know, one stock that I like right now a lot is PBI. Something that Pitney Bowes, very few people know it,
Oh,
but
yeah, they used to
I like.
make, wasn't it copiers?
Now, yeah, they're into mailing stuff. I think the stock can easily go to $20 and still be cheap. Okay. You know, in energy, yeah, we have ventured
What,
into it here and
what
there.
happened in, let me just take a little longer term view. Huh, interesting. What was that earnings in late September, late October, early November that took it down?
No, it was nothing actually. No
Huh,
reason that I have been able to figure out yet. Um, you know, there's a lot of strange things happening in this market, which I have not been able to figure out. But I can tell you one thing: if you buy something that's relatively cheap or of good value, with the slightest good news, it'll go up, and it will take a lot of bad news for it to go down. Now, in this case, why it went down from the sevens, I have no idea. Um, again,
okay,
there's just too many weird things happening in this market for no reason. One thing I can think of is just, you know, ETFs buying and selling, and there are days in many stocks that I follow that there are simply no buyers. And sometimes there are no sellers. I mean, you could see a stock.
wow,
go 5 or
sounds
6
like a pink sheet stock where
No,
you
I
have to
wouldn't
make
say
an
that.
appointment for a trade.
No, I wouldn't call it a pink sheet stock.
Well,
This,
no, I'm just saying that, you know, something that can go a day without trading, you know, the universe of highly spec stocks where they bring in an IR firm to generate volume for them.
yeah,
It's kind of, you know,
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I've seen that sort of in a lot of stocks, but I'm not talking about, you know, pretty well
okay,
big established companies. That I've seen that happening to a lot of stocks, you know. I mean,
okay,
in stocks that are not followed, let's say, very much, like PBI isn't. So, you
yeah,
know, there are days where a little bit of volume on the up or downside will, you know, can go either
yeah.
way.
Looks like over 8, it's gonna have some clear sailing. Yeah, anything in the, yeah, do you have do you have an average price? You know, it's none of our business where you bought it.
No,
That's
no,
just a
we've,
question.
yeah, yeah, I've traded 2 or 3 times, you know, I bought it pretty low. I
Okay,
sold it, I bought it again. Right now, I'm, you know, about where it is right now. That's my
Mhm.
average. But the thing is that I prefer not to sell it. I wish volatility would go down and I wouldn't have to sell it. You know, I think this can appreciate by a lot in the future, like many other stocks. You know, another stock that I still have, I bought it from GDOT. That's another one that has, you know, appreciated a lot.
what's the
Um,
symbol?
GDOT, GDOT. That's a fintech stock. It's a really good company. I'm surprised it went uh, as low as it did. Yelp is another one that was a recent pick. You know, as far as the technology stocks, it's one of the cheapest in the universe, even after the 50% rally. But it has not rallied at all. I think it's going to be um, one of those after COVID benefit situations, I think.
Okay.
Um,
You have any view on the new asset class crypto?
uh, yeah, you know, listen, uh, I can't really invest in that stuff. It's not
Yeah,
investable the way, you know, in a fund situation. I really don't understand it either.
I don't
Uh,
either.
it's a totally different asset class. I do recognize that it's a established asset class, but you know, I just have to waste too much information to find out about it. And you know, you don't have to be invested in everything. I'm generalizing now. Nobody has to be invested everywhere. I can't learn, you know, everything about every asset class. So it's
All
something
right.
that we're just staying away. It's not, I'm not for or against it. I'm just, you know, it's not my cup of tea. Let's just say.
Well, George, I'd like to thank you for taking time today to talk to
Okay.
us, and you know, hope that all your positions come home for you, and that you and your family have a great holiday season and remain healthy. And again, thanks for coming to Face and sharing your what you do and an issue with us. Appreciate it.
Likewise, thank you very much and have a happy holidays to all you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, everyone, if you want to follow our guest today, here's his where is he? Here's his Twitter. George Casarios, @G Casarios. Thank you, George. And see everyone tomorrow. See everyone tomorrow. So let me just wrap it up.